I'm Allendale's chief meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at your midday weather update. Surface analysis at mid-session shows high pressure sitting about halfway between Omaha and Kansas City. That is key because it is spreading its influence all across the Corn Belt to the east, across the Corn Belt to the north, across the plains to the north and northwest. And actually, it's still having some effect back in the central plains to the west, although we're looking at it being kind of a dirty high-pressure dome back off to the west with cloud cover popping up with increasing regularity from South Dakota back down through Kansas and Oklahoma. Speaking of Kansas, Oklahoma, there's a stationary front sitting there, low pressure near Lubbock, Texas, and the stationary front snaking through central and northern Oklahoma, then back up the spine of the Rockies to the west. This is a key feature to pay attention to because if you think of fronts as like a 4-lane highway, or let's even go a 6-lane superhighway for moisture and for low pressure, then a lot of times, especially when you see a stationary front laying someplace, you know the general direction of where things are going to go. So we already mentioned low pressure in Lubbock. We've got the stationary front meandering through Oklahoma. It actually goes east into central to northern Arkansas and toward the Mason-Dixon line then. There's moisture coming into Arizona. It's the remains of Simon, the hurricane from the Pacific. Moisture across Arizona, fairly impressive in spots. Seeing some in New Mexico. This is going to kind of spread out. It's not going to dissipate, but it's going to spread out over an area. And keep in mind, that stationary front is laying just there. Texas Panhandle sneaking into northern New Mexico. It's going to draw the moisture toward it. And then once it can get there, once this low near Lubbock can converge and pull that moisture together into some semblance of organization, off it moves to the east along the front. I think you're actually going to see that low probably pull the front a bit north so that as we go through tonight to tomorrow, we're going to be seeing moisture pop up over Oklahoma, Kansas, and then eventually it goes into Missouri and Arkansas. So that's the layout as we see it right now. On to the next thing. What did the latest forecast models show? Well, as you know, at this time of day, the only quote-unquote new model we have to look at is the latest run of the GFS, yours and my favorite model. It really isn't showing much difference here in the short term. It shows the low kind of staying a little bit farther south over Texas, and the low itself may move right along the Red River Valley. The best precipitation, though, is going to develop in almost like a warm front situation. I like to call it overrunning. It's where you've got moisture that just kind of comes over the top of the front. So while the front stays south, the best moisture probably is going to be farther north, looking at southeast Kansas, eastern Oklahoma, and then Missouri and Arkansas picking up good rains as we go into and through the later stages of tonight, tomorrow, and into early Saturday. So that's where the moisture is going to be developing. The low wants to kind of stay farther south. Keep that in mind. The best moisture probably towards 3 to 6 a.m. tomorrow morning in the Central Plains and then going from there. We're going to leave our forecast for precipitation alone. We like anywhere from 1/4 to 1 inch rain totals in the Central Plains and into Missouri with a top end of 2. And I think the areas that get 2 are going to be the ones that see thunderstorms and then also see a couple of hits within the same time frame. This is a situation where we could see some of the stronger cells or some of the stronger showers move over an area over and over. Generally speaking, everything's going to move, but it could be a slow move in spots, especially in Missouri. So we're going to, again, like we said in the write-up this morning, extend that top end range up to 2. And we're going to put coverage about 60 to 70%. Really, it looks like this system wants to stay, based on where the front is now and model guidance, it wants to stay mostly south of I-70. If there's any place we see moisture a little bit north of I-70, it will be Missouri. Not concerned about it really across Illinois, north of 70. Not concerned about it in Indiana, north of 70 as well. And everything should be winding down by the time we get to Saturday morning. By Saturday morning, everything should be south of the Ohio River Valley and then down into Arkansas and still into East Texas. Strong high pressure comes in the meantime to the north, should give us a nice harvest window going forward. Basically, I'm saying if you're north of I-70, as soon as you can get in the fields here, go. And you can just go at it as long as your crops are ready. Next front works its way through the plains as we go through Sunday. It doesn't have a lot of moisture with it. This is a front that's had some good moisture as it's moved into the Pacific Northwest and the British Columbia coastline over the weekend. But by the time it gets to Sunday, it's passed through the mountains. Most of its moisture has been wrung out, and there's not much left to work with. So on the plains, 1/4 to 1/2 inch coverage. 50, 60%. I guess I'm not too excited. Then, as it gets into the western Corn Belt, this front is going to be able to start to tap into Gulf moisture, and some of the residual moisture from this system is going to be moving through here the next few days. Keep in mind the areas we talked about: Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas. Well, that's where we see the best rains firing off again as we hit midnight Sunday night and then early Monday morning with the front coming in. So Missouri could be looking at a double whammy. I'm looking at half to maybe 2 inches there again. And then the front continues to move east as we go through the day Monday and into early Tuesday. I actually like rain totals of half to 2 inches across most of the eastern Corn Belt as well. Iowa may not be involved in that. Iowa's going to be probably quarter, half, or less, and then the upper Midwest will as well. But central Illinois eastward, good rains there as we finish out Sunday night and go through Monday. By Tuesday, it's done. And then the models say we should shift into a fairly dry forecast pattern going through the rest of next week. A nice ridge tries to build in. We should see temperatures above normal and really no real significant threat of precipitation until probably the 20th into the 21st. This will be moisture that tries to come over the top of the ridge, eventually hammers the ridge back down. So I'm looking for half to 1 inch rainfall totals there. 20th and the 21st, and then we should be dry again from about the 22nd through the 24th. I see a system coming into British Columbia around the 24th into the 25th. Might be one we need to keep an eye on here as we go toward the end of the month. But that's what we've got. You know, honestly, to me, it is not a gloom and doom scenario. Heavier rains possible in Missouri. I-70 southward, rains that could cause a couple days worth of delays. But for a large chunk of the Corn Belt, we're actually looking pretty good right on through the weekend. Now, if you've got any concerns about the weather or questions, give us a call at Allendale. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.